trying to understand the reasons for Real Madrid's underachieving this season. Don Carlo and his tactics. There's been a lot of talk about him this season. The fact that Real Madrid seems to lack a tactical identity, that Ancelotti just puts a team out there and expects them to win, without having any shape or form about how they're going to play. But here's where we mix things up, because in trying to understand the real reason for Real Madrid's underperforming this season, is it down to Ancelotti's tactics, or as some put it, the lack of it? Quick rewind. Last season, Real Madrid had done the double. Created a system that many didn't believe would be sustainable long-term, with a lack of a proper number 9 leading the line. Vinicius and Rodrigo as inside forwards, and Jude Bellingham on top of the diamond behind them in midfield. Real Madrid won the Champions League and La Liga using Ancelotti's lack of tactics. Or rewind a season to the 2022-23. Yeah, they missed out on the Champions League, but that was only after getting eliminated by Man City in the semis. They lost out on La Liga to Barcelona, but in the same season they won the Spanish Super Cup, the UEFA Super Cup, and the Copa del Rey. Then we go back to his first season, back in his second spell at the club. Another Champions League and La Liga double. The emergence of Vini and Benzema as a duo. Rodrigo with big performances in the Champions League. The point is, he spent 3 seasons at the club. The tactics he used to win in the 2021-22 season aren't the same ones he used to win in the 2023-24 campaign. And this is a guy many believe doesn't have a tactical identity. Damn, he's legit switched up his formation twice and still won the Champions League. Now this isn't to say that Ancelotti hasn't played a part in Real Madrid's underperformance this season. But the truth, which a lot might not want to hear, is that for months, the media, fans, everyone has got it wrong. They've been blaming the wrong man. The problem isn't exactly Ancelotti. The reason for this underperformance this season comes from one man and his secret obsession, Florentino Perez and his idea of recreating the Galacticos, trying to make Real Madrid not just the best football team on the planet, but the most marketable one too. And that's the major reason why Real Madrid has underperformed this season. It's been going on for years. See guys, the idea of the Galacticos didn't start with Florentino Perez, like some other videos might want you to believe. The term itself, the Galacticos, was formed by Santiago Bernabeu, the former president of the club back in the 1960s. And he based this off the assumption of a Real Madrid team having the likes of Alfredo Di Stefano, Frank Puskas, and Jose Santamaria all in one team. Florentino Perez came in the late 90s and he reintroduced the idea. By 2002, he'd rebranded the team and given it that superstar feel, signing the likes of Luis Figo, the first major transfer directly from rivals Barcelona, Zinedine Zidane, Ronaldo Nazario, David Beckham, and by that year, Perez had successfully created a team with a market value that was uncapped. But it came with its costs too, something that we've witnessed in the 2024-25 season. The Galacticos idea at the start wasn't necessarily based on footballing ideas. Take for instance David Beckham and Luis Figo, 2 players who both played in similar positions. Well, the same position actually. And considering what Real Madrid had done to get Figo, I mean the Netflix documentary detailing this entire process is wild by the way. But the point is, they already had one of the best right midfielders in the world, so getting David Beckham wasn't from a football perspective, it was for commercial reasons. That sound familiar? Yeah, it's Real Madrid in the 2024-25 campaign. They already have one of the best left wingers in the world in Vinicius Jr. And then they get Mbappe, a superstar team on paper, but in reality it was a problem in the works. And so what's happening with Mbappe and Vinicius now is what happened with Luis Figo and David Beckham then. They were forced to switch positions. When one played on the right, the other played down the middle or on the left, and it affected the balance of the team as well.
So he rang you and said, I'm signing Kylian Mbappe. What do you think about him?
I said, no!
Carlo Ancelotti might have joked about this early on, but right now, you've got to feel it was more of this meme. When he laughed, like he was crying inside. The Real Madrid team under Carlo Ancelotti last season had already shown they could win. Getting Kylian Mbappe, the superstar signing who'd become the headline transfer of the club, was more of Real Madrid and Florentino Perez's desire to show that the club was still the final destination for the best players in the world than pure footballing moves. I mean, let's be real. On paper, that attack looks like a 4-3-3. But in reality, it's just 3 left wingers out in a system to somehow find ways of playing with each other. Ancelotti didn't ask for Mbappe, and yet he's somehow been tasked with finding ways of making him work in this system. And credit to the man, he's tried to do his job as a coach, defending the players, defending his system, but ultimately, this has cost him his reputation, trying to fix a problem he didn't create. In his successful years at the club, that 3-year spell we already talked about, one constant that worked wasn't necessarily the front line, but these two, Luka Modric, Toni Kroos. You could even argue it was a 3 with Casemiro in midfield back in 2022, but it's still the same idea. Real Madrid at the moment lacks the profile of a midfielder who can control a game. It seems like he'd found a fix to the Toni Kroos problem with Dani Ceballos, because when Ceballos played, the team looked better generally. There was a balance and a link between midfield and attack. But Ceballos got injured, and none of the options necessarily strike as the same type of player who can control the game in midfield. Now, it all just snowballs into one annoying question. Why didn't the club just sign a replacement then? Another option in midfield? I mean, they had 2 windows to fix this and did nothing. Well, that's because this club has a certain way it operates. Ever wonder why Real Madrid rarely ever make January signings? I mean, think about it. Think of the names that have joined the club in recent years. There's hardly been players, let alone superstars, that have joined the team in a winter transfer window. And that's because it's just something Real Madrid doesn't do. The club could have gone in for a player like Martin Zubamendi, who on paper at least fits the description of what the team needs in midfield. And instead, there was nothing. Again, this video isn't to say Carlo Ancelotti hasn't played a role in Real Madrid's underperforming season again. Because if there is one part Carlo Ancelotti has come under fire for at Real Madrid this season, it's this.
He's an immense talent. There's no doubt that Real Madrid are invested in this kid for the future, but I still think that youngsters, even at his age, they still want to play football every game. They don't want to sit on the bench and watch these games. People like Endrick have clearly shown us that they've got the ability to have impact in huge games. I know he's young. He's only 18 years old.
Yes, we know Carlo Ancelotti has a system, but it's almost as if he doesn't trust the youngsters in the team to make an impact in the big game. You've probably come across videos talking about Real Madrid's lack of creativity in midfield. And, yeah, he's young, but Arda Güler is an attacking midfielder who has shown that with the right game time and exposure, he can become a creative spark, either for Real Madrid or Turkey, his national team. Play him then. Or the talk about Real Madrid needing a number 9, a traditional striker whose main job is to score goals and hang around the box, not the 3 left wingers in the team who end up drifting. They've got Endrick. Play him then. You could make the argument for Raul Asensio this season, but if we're stating facts, the only reason Raul Asensio even got the nod into the Madrid first team is off the back of injuries to Militao and the defensive crisis at the club. Ancelotti didn't have a choice. But then again, it goes beyond just Ancelotti and Florentino Perez, because the truth is, the performances that determine results come down to the players on the pitch. And to this end, some guys just have not done enough. Kylian Mbappe Lotin finally got his dream move, his big transfer, and finally got to live that Ronaldo image and turn it into his reality. On one hand, he's, as of recording this, just 4 goals away from matching Ivan Zamorano's record for the best debut season in Madrid history, with 37 goals. But on the other hand, Mbappe's performances for Real Madrid this season have been this.
It's basic striker movement. It's basic movement ahead of the ball that is not happening from Kylian Mbappe.
Yes, he's adapting to the role, but he still needs to do more. Because it's Real Madrid. The big games matter. It's not enough to win. It has to be statement victory after statement victory. And it's almost as if Mbappe hasn't realized that yet. Every action he takes, based on his profile, gets magnified. And he hasn't been doing himself any favors of late. He's still not a typical number 9. Yes, he's scoring goals, but in terms of the pressing, being in and around the box for goals, scoring the tap-ins you associate with a traditional player in that position, Mbappe isn't it yet. And on top of that, he almost ended a player's career. The Mbappe dilemma has been so bad that despite the goals he's been scoring, just 4 off that record now, this was the home crowd's reaction to him in Real Madrid's 1-0 win against Athletic Bilbao. He was getting whistled by the fans. No goals, no major contributions over 2 legs versus Arsenal, and left the pitch with an injury toward the end. Mbappe could be in danger of the Real Madrid fans turning on him very soon, but that doesn't mean he's the only player to blame in that team. He promised us he is going to do it 10 times more, and the world was expecting some grand spectacle. But from needless red cards to missing penalties, the only thing Vinny Jr. has done 10 times more is somehow give the haters more reasons to troll him. Not necessarily because of his performances. I mean, facing the facts, he's been one of the team's best players in terms of output going forward. But he's been at the club for a long while, and he'll understand that it's the big games these fans, this club, use as the yardstick. Nothing in that 4-0 defeat to Barcelona. Nothing in that 5-2 defeat to Barcelona in the Super Cup final. Yeah, he scored against Arsenal in the Champions League quarter-final elimination, but it was off the back of a William Saliba mistake. He did nothing over 2 legs. Continue with players like Camavinga and Tchouaméni, who haven't stepped up and gotten into that next gear many would have predicted them to at the club. Some of these guys have to shoulder the blame too. And finally, the last part in assessing the reasons for Real Madrid's downfall this season: injuries, fatigues, things they could not control. Losing the likes of Dani Carvajal and Eder Militao to injury this season has taken its toll on the team. They haven't been the same defensively as a unit, which is also down to the tactical shape, and a lot of focus on the offensive part of the team, or a player like Jude Bellingham, for example.
It feels really good. I've been working really hard in the off-season and towards the back end of last season. And, you know, I think the strap was always something a bit more precautionary. When it initially comes out, it's tough because for the next few weeks and few months you can feel the pain. And towards the end of the season, it was agitating me a little bit. Obviously, the amount of games, you know, you land on it, little things like that. So the strap was really helping me. But I think I've got to trust in the work that I do in the gym, the work I do with Pintus and all the rest of the sports scientists. And
he's still recovering from this. A shoulder injury that's made him play through the pain. Then add the problems with the team, and it's easy to see why he's become a frustrated figure this season. Fatigue? Too many games. They've already gone the distance in the Champions League, had to play a playoff round against Man City in the round of 16, and went to extra time and penalties against Atletico Madrid. In the midst of that, the team was still active in the Liga, the Intercontinental Cup, the Spanish Super Cup, and most of the players playing international football for their respective countries. it. The burnout was gonna happen at some point. Right, now we've assessed the problems that have led to Real Madrid underperforming this season. What can be done to avoid this? To start with, it's safe to say this summer is going to be a very important one for the club. Changes have to take place. At the moment, it seems like Carlo Ancelotti will leave the club, or everyone's favourite to replace him, Xabi Alonso, will take over. Another name that's been linked to the club is Jurgen Klopp. But it's not just a managerial change that will cut it.
Who comes in? And while there'll be no shortage of takers for Real Madrid players, Real Madrid just have that kind of aura about them. You wonder who those players, excess players may be, and we can speculate on that.
Players like Lucas Vazquez, Ferland Mendy, David Alaba, yes, they've been excellent players for the club over the years and have had their spells. But if this Madrid team needs to move in the right direction, some of them have to leave. Ancelotti, or whoever the next manager is, needs to give more minutes to the younger players. It just has to happen. This is non-negotiable. That transfer policy too needs a rejig. It can't be a situation where the team is struggling with an identity crisis and the club decides to wait until the summer as they always do to fix it. That decision to wait that long could end up costing the team the entire season. Whatever happens though, there's still a lot to play for with Real Madrid between now and the end of the season. Two big Clásicos that could potentially determine how the season ends for Real Madrid. And if they do well in both, they could very well end up with a domestic double at the end of the season. Wouldn't be such a bad thing after all.